Welcome to another episode of You're Not Depressed, Just Unfinished. Most successful leaders don't destroy the team's trust because they lack intelligence, planning, and strategy. Their team trust gets damaged because they become reactive. They become anxious. Why do leaders become reactive? And if they become reactive, how do they revert back to their wisdom, to their thoughtfulness? I have a wonderful expert with us today, Julia LeFevre. She is an expert in NeuroChange coaching, and she will tell us what it is. She is also founder of Brave Foundation, Brave Restoration. She has a methodology, Core 4 framework, and her key tagline, which I love, is about regulated leadership is not personality, is capacity, which means we all can learn it. We are not born with it. All right, Julia, welcome and welcome. First, add to more about what do the listeners need to know about you, and also where are you dialing from?
Oh, my friend, thank you so much for having me. I'm dialing in from Wichita, Kansas, right in the middle of the U.S.
There's no place like home.
There is no place like home. Wherever home is for you, there's no place like home. And for me, that's Kansas. And yeah, I'm just so excited to be here. I don't know what people need to know about me. I feel like you gave me a great introduction. It's funny, the leadership, and it's not a personality, that it's capacity. And let me just tell you, my own capacity got challenged this past weekend because we were in New York City, my husband and my son, and what should have been a 6-hour commute home turned into 29 hours. And let me tell you, I am glad that I have been working on my leadership capacity to stay regulated, because man, if that had happened 5 years ago, I'm not sure we would still be home.
So you were not one of those passengers on Instagram, they get agitated and start to scream at everybody. You were not one of them.
I didn't. But you know what? Everything in my body was telling me to do that. And same with my husband and my son. There would be those moments of panic because nothing seemed to be going right. And at one point, my husband looked at me and said, "I'm getting ready to blow." And here's the thing. It's not because he's not a patient person. It's not because he's not a good person. It's because his capacity had reached its limit. And that's what happens to so many leaders. When things continue to go bad, we reach our capacity to stay regulated, and that's when we blow.
That one. So let me ask you this, Julia, that behind me, I'm not sure the listeners, they can see this. There are many books about leadership. They're all about the skills, teamwork, the strategy, communication, delegation, and so on. What you're talking about is a different dimension of leadership, about capacity of regulation.
Yeah.
What does that mean? And why, second question, why there are so few resources about that, about learn a skill so you can do the work, but there's skill about you being, the way of your being. Why there's so little about it?
Yeah, it's such a good question. And the reason there's so little about it is because what we're learning about capacity from a neurological standpoint is coming from new research. As recent as 2015, they're just starting to realize more and more about what our brains need and how our brains work. And with much about the research world, the people doing the research are pretty removed from those who are trying to do the applied work. And just a little history of where we've been and where we're going. back in the late 1980s, that's when neuroscientists were not first discovering, but there was a real surge of information about the flexibility of our brains, the
Mhm.
neuroplasticity, where we could literally create new neural pathways. We could change our brain.
Yeah.
This is also during the time where communication was speeding up. And so the cognitive behavioral movement really
Yeah.
took off. 1987 ish is when people started learning, oh, we can practice new things and create new habits.
Yes.
Now, that's true. And so it took off, and we see it in education, we see it in therapy, we see it in business.
Yeah.
And what happened is that we adopted this idea that if we just get more information
That's right.
and then we create some structures or systems with accountability so that we can practice over and over, we can change behavior. And here's the thing, the good news is that it worked sometimes.
Yes.
But the problem is that it only works when things are unemotional.
That's right.
And and
Regimented,
so
systemic, predictable. Yes.
so can you build a new habit? Yes. So it was measurable, it was a formula, and so people held on to that. The problem is that at the same early 2000s, not very much later into more recent history, they started learning about, and I'm going to pull up my brain
Yes. Yes. Yes.
model. So they started learning that, okay, our brain works from the bottom up, not the top down. So the cognitive behavioral system relied on our prefrontal cortex. This is where
Yes.
our learning happens. It's where
Mhm.
information starts to create new neural pathways. The
Yes.
problem is this is the last part of your brain to get to play. So it worked as long as, so real quick anatomy lesson, your brain stem is the first part of your brain to play, and it's asking a single question: how do I keep you alive
Yes.
physically? So it's going to make sure that we have everything we need. We're breathing, we're hungry, we have food, we have water. It keeps our organs going. So for most of us, most of the time, that's happy. And so it
Yes.
sends the information on up to our limbic system. This is where the amygdala is, the hippocampus, and this is the emotional processing system.
Yes.
This part of our brain is asking, how can I keep you physically alive?
Yeah.
This part of your brain now is concerned with, how are you doing? Is this life or death relationally?
Yes. Yes.
So we're moving into that realm of human
Relationally.
belonging,
You just said the keyword
relationship.
relationally in relation to others. Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. When we say, what are the core human needs? We need food, water, shelter, safety, right? There's actually a fifth, and that is our relational need to belong somewhere, to
Yeah.
matter. They know that this is it. Let me back up. What happens when when a core need is not being met
Yeah.
physically, your body shifts into fight or flight. It's going to give you energy to meet that need.
Yes.
The same thing happens when there's a relational threat. Your body triggers into a fight or flight response in order to fix that,
Yes.
because it is just as important to your brain that
Yeah.
you matter, that you're connected, as
Yeah.
it is that you have food and water.
That's right. That's right.
So
And then
now, yes,
go ahead. Go ahead. I love this source. I'm a science geek. I'm just thinking this is so cool. I hope listeners actually go on YouTube and see this. So all of this happened at millisecond, correct? Very fast.
millisecond, yes. All of this in the yellow and green is happening without us even knowing, without us
Yes.
thinking, without any decisions being made. So, even today, I was reading through some LinkedIn posts, and people were talking about making a decision to stay regulated. So, now here's back to your original question. What is capacity? What does that mean? Having capacity means that this part of your brain knows that it will be okay to, even if there's a relational threat, but it has so many other confirmed relationships that
Yes.
one threat is not going to flip it into
Yeah.
the fight or flight response. Capacity is
Capacity.
staying regulated even in the face of a relational threat.
So this is key because early in my career, I worked for a wonderful leader whom I learned a lot. But he was basically those leaders who pound the table. He would group of us, he'd
Mm.
go like a dozen of us that he would to the meeting, the slightest thing, he would get agitated, pound the table, name calling, really a lot of pressure. So it was a culture of fear, culture of distrust. And I know that leader is not anomaly. I'm sure there are a lot of leaders, even going on LinkedIn, people talk about bad bosses. So he was a wonderful boss, but he was constantly dysregulated. So
Yeah.
what was happening with him?
So, what was happening is that this wasn't an issue of physical needs not being met. There
Yeah,
was something that was happening in a situation where his success as a
yeah,
boss was tied to his internal feeling of, I'm going to be wanted here. If
yes,
I fail as a boss, so if an initiative fails, then
yes.
they're not going to want me. So now we're not talking about the issue, about the business. We're talking about his need to be wanted.
So work issues, in other words, work challenges, which everywhere exist, it became an issue, as you mentioned, that am I a good boss? Do they want me? Do I matter? And then,
Exactly.
and the way he would bring agitation, with agitation, more or less, he was going to micromanaging,
Mhm.
guiding us, that lack of trust. He just said, as long as we did it his way, it was the good way. And so
Because
we
he was able to then control the outcome more and make
control.
sure it
Yes,
got done so that people would want him. See,
that's
look,
right.
this is how I am wanted.
Never did that. So what happened in our team, we all noticed that when he himself got feedback from his own manager that the team produced less. We just went to deliver the work that he wanted versus going above and beyond. We were hesitant to go above and beyond because we thought he would not like it. So it became a very get the work done type of a team because we didn't want to be yelled at and criticized. But at the same time, there was so much more we could have done. He could have been a stellar leader and he couldn't do that. So the
Yeah.
second question, what could we have done? Because I think of him now, we are years later, we are friends, we are buddies. Every now and then
Yeah.
we go and have a drink. What could we have done either to support him or he himself to stay regulated?
Yeah. One thing I want to point out is that you guys didn't want to speak up or push against it because
Yes,
then that would mean that he doesn't want you. And
that's
so
right.
now his dysregulation or lack of capacity is now exposing the team's lack of capacity because we don't want him to not want us. So
Yes,
we're just going to please him however it takes. And
yes,
to your question of what could you have done? And really, this is anyone. Most of the work I do, the ideal is working with that leader
yeah,
and helping them recognize and build their capacity, which we'll talk about that later. But in the moment, what you could have done really relates to what he needed.
What he
So,
needed. Yes.
what he needed. So, this part of our brain needs food, water, shelter, safety, right? That's just what it needs.
Yes.
This wasn't an issue of that. What he needed was to be wanted. He
Mm,
needed a safe relationship to be freaked out. And so,
yeah.
what could have helped him was to be able to just help him to if I were in that room and he
Yeah.
gets freaked out, I'd say, "Man, boss, this is frustrating, isn't it? And I imagine you feel like you're gonna get the can because we didn't do XYZ. So now all of a sudden, I'm bringing to light, I'm speaking out what's really happening,
Yes.
and then what would really help is to connect to how he is feeling.
Yes.
Man,
Yeah.
I bet this is just freaking you out,
Yeah.
and just say it.
So this
Now,
is key.
yeah,
I'm sorry, what you're saying to bring an atmosphere of regulation in the team doesn't mean we all smile, jolly, happy, high five, kumbaya. We can have deeper connection, respect, have conversation, and talk about tough, hard stuff, talk about conflict. That we don't need to deny the conflict, tension, and anxiety in the room, in the project. If we honor the need of the person, what does he need? What does she need? And talk about hard stuff at the same time.
yeah. Oh my
Uh,
goodness. Yes. Because here's the thing, biologically, when
yes,
this part of your brain feels a threat, it creates a chemical reaction that produces energy. It's like lighting a match. Now, so there's actual energy that needs to be spent. You can't
yes,
hold energy. Go into a middle school classroom of kids who have been sitting at their desk all day. It comes out one
yeah,
way
yeah,
or
yeah,
another. So, when there's a threat, when somebody feels threatened, their brain is preparing them to fight or flight. They have this lit match, so to speak.
yeah,
And we've all been told, just hold it. Don't
yes,
show it. You have to deny it. You have to just be happy and peaceful. And so I'm so glad you brought up capacity and staying regulated does not mean that.
yes,
It just means that we're not going to hold it, because what happens if you hold a match too long?
yes.
You get burned.
You get
So
burned.
then what happens? What happens? People just fling it then. And that would be the equivalent of your boss pounding the desk,
Yeah,
yelling, going into micromanage
yeah,
mode. So now this flame
yes,
starts a forest fire.
yeah.
That's not good. So then we say, "Oh, see, emotion's bad. I've got to just try and hold it again."
That's right.
And what I teach people is that the emotion isn't bad. The fire isn't the problem.
Yeah,
It's what we do with the fire.
this is
And so
good.
it's where I advocate creating a fire pit experience. Because
Yes,
now, if you have a contained space where
yes,
you can put the fire, now you can actually build up the fire. And
yeah,
so now the energy has a place to go.
yeah,
And so when I said you entering into the fire pit experience with your
yeah,
boss and saying, "Hey, boss, man, this is hard," and
yes,
almost saying, inviting him to be emotional,
yeah.
but in an appropriate way, instead of him feeling like he's fighting against his team, now he's fighting with his
We
team.
get to- This is powerful about them. A year ago, I went to a team in a high tech environment, about 14 people in the room. It was a product development team. The head of the team asked me that there's a lot of tension in the team, that if there's an issue, people discuss it forever and ever versus analyze it, plan for it, execute, and you're stuck. It's so much tension. So the day that I arrived, I entered the room. You know that expression, you can feel the room already hot. Literally, I
Yep.
felt there was energy like that. The many lights, many the match, they were lit. I just felt it, and people
Yep.
felt warmed up, energized, and they were tense already. I was
Yep.
thinking, this team does not need more project plan, more analytical work. They need to express themselves. So there were
They need
14
a fire
individuals.
pit.
They need.
Yep.
So now the first thing I did, it was a large room in front, windows, white space. I said that, how about everybody stand up, come with me to this other corner, get the body moving. So whenever there's energy,
Mhm.
the last thing you want to be sitting and do left brain doodling. Just get up
Yeah.
and move the body. Energy is in the body. So to come up here, pair up with somebody you don't typically talk about. Basically, two questions. How are you feeling right now? And you can use any words, just two of you, no notes taking. And what is one thing you want from this exercise? It was an hour and a half exercise. They did this, it was only 5 minutes. After that, I said, so what are some of the words came out? People said, I'm frustrated, I'm angry, I'm fearful, I don't care. We've done this before. What people said they wanted was calming down. I want more hope. I want more listening. I want more less respect. I want to be heard. That's all we needed. And it became just people express themselves, and I could literally feel the room calm down. People had eye contact, their bodies were
Mm.
calm, they were breathing. And I was thinking that this wasn't rocket science. This was a team that was already dysregulated, and they were feeding off of each other.
Yeah.
They needed to express themselves so they can go do their left brain analytical work. This is what you talk about, correct?
This is it. This is it. You were helping them to receive what they
Yes.
needed.
Yes.
It's not rocket science, it's neuroscience.
That's right. That's right. Let me ask you a question. The term dysregulated. So the fact is, I use it all the time. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be honest with you. I hate it because it looks so nebulous. Business people, I've used it and they roll their eyes. Says,
Yeah.
what does that mean? Because it doesn't fit in the jargon of business world.
Yeah.
Are there other ways we can label regulation, dysregulation?
Yeah. That's a good question. I think one of the things that helps me, and
Yeah.
when I work with executives who are really resistant, they're like, "That's not my problem. They need to figure that out.
Yes.
That's their
Yes.
own emotional stuff. I don't deal with emotions." And I would just say it means the more positive spin of it
Yes.
is they are not experiencing psychological safety.
Yes.
And it's the absence of relational safety. They don't
Yes.
feel safe. And a lot of my job is educating. So my education background comes in handy, but educating leaders that you cannot care or not want to deal with emotions. But
Yes.
let me tell you, this part of your
Yeah.
business is costing you millions of dollars.
That's right. That's right.
And so if you want to get this is the smart part of people's brains that you're
Yep.
paying your team. You're
Yep.
paying them to access this. But if you don't provide the felt safety, then
That's right.
this will become the barrier. I
Yes.
tell people this is like the gas tank is like the rocket fuel for your smart brain. And if
Exactly.
this isn't filled up, if the needs are not met, you're costing your company millions of dollars, and we've seen
Absolutely.
this play out over and
Absolutely.
over.
The last week I wrote a blog, which is available on my website, and I will put it as part of our podcast. The
Mm,
title is that emotional regulation is your ultimate leadership edge.
it
Because
is.
we all get trained in the left brain functioning, delegation, communication, conflict resolution, strategy, etc. Emotional regulation is what builds capacity. More, you feel more, you perceive more, your intuition will be actually higher. And it's untapped, to your point, capability. Many leaders don't know how they have it. You already have it. It's like a muscle. You need to use it. You need to apply it for yourself, for your team, for your family, for your kids.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought this up. We have the capacity in some ways, but it's okay. So a year and a half ago, I had surgery on my ankle. I had to be non-weight bearing for 12 weeks.
Wow.
Guess what happened to the muscles in my leg that I had?
Yeah.
They atrophied. They were not, they shrunk to almost half the size. It was incredible how quickly, because I wasn't using it. Here's what's funny. This part of your brain, if it feels a relational threat, it's going to tell you, just like my doctor told me, you can't use it. Don't go there again. If that didn't feel good, if you did speak up to your boss and he yelled at you, that didn't feel good, don't ever do that again. You learn that. And so what ends up happening is that our brain thinks it's protecting us, which it does for the short term. But what ends up happening is that capacity muscle, so to speak, atrophies, because what builds capacity is doing the thing that feels scary. And that's why so many of us lack the capacity to do hard things because we've just avoided them.
That's right.
And so it's one of those things that the good news is we can build capacity. I've seen it happen in my own life and in lots of leaders that I've worked with. And it's not easy. It's not a walk in the park because it's leaning in to do the things that feel scary and that your brain is saying, run away or fight.
You mentioned a key point here. Actually, you mentioned many key points here. And this is what my client asked me. So, Ardashi, that's great regulation. So I go tomorrow in my meetings and I will ask me, so what do I say so that I can create an environment of listening, calmness, regulation? And gently I tell them, it's less about what you say, it's about how you show up. The context by how fast you speak, quality of your eye contact, quality of your listening, quality of when you ask a question. Are you really asking a question or are you just going through the motion and you want people, come on, give it to me quickly? Or what do you do when somebody says something and doesn't match with your perspective or simply you dislike it? What do you say? So because people pick that up, I say those. And the other thing I say, and I love to hear your perspective, if you go to the room and you're anxious, shallow breathing, your body's tense, your shoulders are tight, that people see that body reads body faster than people follow the language. So, Julia, from your experience, how can a leader, and it can be a spouse, can be a teacher, how do they show up in their entire being and create a sense of invitation? I'm calm, I'm cool, and we can have that sense. What do you see working?
Yeah, that's such a good question. And really, it comes back to, first of all, you cannot fake capacity. You
Yes,
cannot fake regulation.
I love
And
that. You
so
can love
it's
it.
not a script. You can't. And so I love that you tell people it's not so much what you say, it's how you show up.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to bring us back to the brain. The way you can choosing happens up here, is to make sure all of your needs are met first. So really practically, if you're not sleeping if you're not eating, if you're not drinking, if you don't have safe spaces. This
Yes.
last weekend when we had no sleep for 30 hours,
29 hours
it
flying.
was
Yes. Yeah.
challenging to stay regulated
Yeah.
because even our body was screaming at us. So, first of all, you've got to take care of yourself. Second of all, now we take care of our physical selves. You've got to take care of your relational self.
Yeah.
This means that you have to fill your tank before you can come and provide an emotional anchor for your team.
Yeah.
You have to make sure that this part of your brain
Yeah.
is convinced you matter.
Yeah.
That happens through authentic, intentional, relational interactions with people over a period of time. Relationship
Leadership.
interactions with people over time,
Yes.
because it's the experience. One of the things that the neuroscience is opening a door on that's different from the
Yeah.
1980s is that this part of your brain, let me back up. This part changes with information. Information
Yeah.
does help, but this part of your brain changes with experience. It's
Yeah.
an experience that taught you when to be on guard, when
Yeah.
to get triggered. It's
Yeah.
a new experience that confirms or tells your brain it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
So for me, my part of my story back in 2020, I was working in an organization that had some major issues, and I had issues. I was contributing to some of those issues. And so what ended up happening is I developed debilitating anxiety. I
Mhm.
couldn't think straight because my brain was stuck in
Yeah.
fight or flight. I
Yeah.
had adrenaline coursing through my body constantly. I my all of my brain energy was directed to keeping me safe
Yes.
relationally,
Yes. Yes.
which meant I was trying to write my doctoral thesis
Yeah.
and I couldn't. I still haven't gone back to it. Someday
Yeah.
I might, but I couldn't think. And
Yeah.
so I what ended up changing, I tried everything. I
Yeah.
tried 3 therapists, I hired a spiritual director, started doing yoga, meditation, changed my diet, and started meds. And guess what? Nothing helped. It might have taken it from off the charts to a 9, but I
Yeah.
thought, "I can't live life like this."
Yeah.
It was only when I reconnected with one of my professors from
Yes.
my program that had introduced NeuroChange. I worked with him for a year, every week. So I met with him at over 50 times, and in that year, we were re he he was providing new experiences that were
Yeah.
rewiring
What kind of
based.
experiences? What were some of those experiences?
I'll never forget one of the most powerful ones. It was about 3 months in, and I was asking him, okay, his name was Scott. "Okay, Scott, tell me, what are the things about me that you don't like?" Because part of the premise is that I was a people pleaser, and
Yeah.
I needed to know that there were things that people didn't like about me, and it'd be okay, and
Yeah.
that they weren't rejecting me because of those. So, he tells me a couple of things. I say too many words. I want it to be my way or the highway. I can kinda come across as a know-it-all. I'm a firstborn daughter, type A, like, and I'm like, "Okay." I took a deep breath, and he looked at me and he said, "Wait a minute. You're gonna work on changing those things, aren't you?" I'm like,
Ooh,
"Yeah."
that's good.
And then he said something that I will never forget, and I still feel it in my body. And he said, "Julia, I don't need you to change those things. I love spending time with you. even when you come across as a know-it-all.
Yeah.
And my body, I still feel it right now, or to share.
Yeah.
It's my whole life, I had lived with the
Yeah.
assumption, the core belief that I had to be perfect. I
Yeah.
had to make people happy
Yeah.
for them to want me.
Yeah.
And in that moment, now, if somebody that I didn't know had told me that, I'd be
Yeah.
like, "Oh,
Yeah.
that was nice." But I knew he knew me, and it was a genuine,
Yeah.
intentional interaction, and I just wept. And gave my brain
Yeah.
a new experience that was in direct contradiction to my past experiences.
Yeah. I
Started
felt
changing my life.
I felt that experience, your emotion, and that moment of deep understanding and connection with Scott. I felt it. What happened? I want to sh- uh, slow this down for our listeners. So much in our lives, and I grew up like that, that I had to be this way to be loved. What Scott said, you're already loved. I want to be with you. You're already good. You're already at the table. But there are few things that you can work on that will be better, helpful, but that doesn't take away from your greatness, for your magnificence, from the love and attention you already have, and I have it for you. It's basically you're good. You can work on those versus all the things you need to do. Then you may get the attention and the love, and you may not. That is the significant reframing that applies to
Yeah.
parenting, that applies to
Yes.
team,
Yes.
relationships. That is
That the
profound.
relational connection is not dependent on my performance.
That's right. That's
The
right.
connection and acceptance of me as a person
Yeah,
is non-negotiable.
that's right. That's right. Like,
So, yeah.
go ahead. You finish your thought. Yeah.
I was just going to say some people in the workplace are like, "Yeah, but how do I set boundaries if people aren't performing?"
So
And I'm
how do you
like,
do that? Yeah, go ahead.
and
Answer that.
so this is where we have combined performance and relational connection where it needs to stay separate. I can have a hard conversation, or I can even fire someone. I can terminate someone and still have a relational connection. I can still value them as a person. In fact, I can value them even more by being honest with them and saying,
Yeah,
"Hey, I think you have more in you," or, "Hey, I this is not a good place for you,
that's right.
and you matter to me, and so I want to help you in your journey to find the place where it's a better fit,
Yeah, yeah,
and I will be here. I'm not going to pull away from you relationally."
yeah.
Uh, our workplace is our relationship doesn't have anything to do with your production.
Exactly.
Our working relationship does, because at
Yeah,
the end of the day, if you're getting paid to do a job, you have to
yeah.
do it.
That's right.
Um,
That's right.
but we can have this more of an integrated approach to people, that we can value them as a person. I can speak kindly to them. I can
Yeah,
care for them. I can even say, "I know this is really hard for you, and I hate that."
yeah,
So,
yeah,
see, I'm connecting with the emotion. I'm giving them what they need. I'm seeing the pain
yeah.
that they're in.
And you see the greatness in their great in a lot of different dimensions, but it's not what this job needs.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is wonderful. Julia, you mentioned in your work core four framework. That sounds very smart and very jazzy. What is it as part of your work here?
When I was in school, they were using a lot of the psychology terms like attachment,
Yeah,
separation, authority. And I was like, the business world is not going to understand that. And so basically, I just developed this core four framework that essentially there are four areas of our, or four types of experiences that fill up this gas tank of our brain.
Yeah.
And I call those the core four. The first one is your capacity for connection. That should make sense after listening. If people have listened this whole time, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, I'm as a coach, I'm looking at what is your capacity to connect to
Yeah.
people in an intentional, authentic, genuine way,
Mhm.
because that's what people need. As a
Mhm.
leader, if your capacity to connect is low, then
Yes.
everything else, you are going to struggle mightily to create a safe space for your team.
It's the foundation of capacity
It's
to
the
connect.
foundation.
Nice.
And the good news is that it's okay if you don't.
Yeah.
And what I love about this framework and what neuroscience and psychology have both contributed to this is that it's not your fault.
Yeah.
Because remember, it's your past experiences that have shaped you.
Yeah.
You can't change what was done to you, but the
Mhm.
beauty is that we can take responsibility now and change what will be done, what
That's
we
right.
will allow. And
Got it.
so that's what I work with leaders to help them lean into those relational connections, those intentional, repeated interactions
Yeah.
that in the past have felt threatening,
Yeah.
and we rewire the neurology so that it's not as scary. And in fact, it actually meets their need more than being self-protective.
That's right. So let me ask you a question. First of all, I'm so immersed in our conversation. I'm thinking, I want to have you back here again and again. So people are listening to our conversation. They show up as they are in different states of regulation. And regulation for our listeners is not binary. You have it, you don't have it. It's a continuum that
Absolutely.
from very low to very high. So we are all somewhere on that continuum. So
Yep.
people are listening and they want to say, ooh, I'm intrigued. I want to learn more. I want to be more. What do they do to be to move further about regulation? What is helpful to them right now?
Yeah, so right now, I tell people the starting point is to build your fire pit. Invite safe people into this journey with you. This is not something you can do by yourself.
Yeah,
In fact, I
safe. You said
always
safe people versus the people who are criticize you, people
yeah.
naysayers. Like you need the right people to be around you.
And in some ways, I've even started shifting away from the idea of safe. Because at the end of the day, we're all in process, and there are
Yeah,
gonna be times where even I'm not safe for somebody because I'm dealing with my stuff, and so I've
yeah,
even started shifting to more brave language.
nice.
Find brave people who are willing to journey with you,
Mhm.
because there will be times where you get hurt, but let me tell you, it's those opportunities that present even a greater opportunity to grow. It's when you go to the gym and you hit your max and
Yeah,
you can't keep lifting
yes,
that gives you the knowledge, the understanding of, okay, what's weak and
yeah,
what do I need to keep growing? And
yeah.
let's keep doing this. It's how resilience
Yeah.
is created.
Juliet, I love the term find brave people. In fact, when I will post our the both audio and video, which will be on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, on YouTube, and different platform, I will name it "Find Brave People." It is cool because that's what we need. That's what we need. Our people. So where do people find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Julia LeFevre. You can find me at my website, www.braverestoration.org. If you go there, you can sign up for a free weekly newsletter where I send out insights like this every week to your inbox. And you can even sign up for DM me, and I'd love to have a personal conversation with you and see. I do have a free audit where we only got to one of the core four, the foundation of connection, the capacity for connection, but I have an audit that you can take, and it can help you identify which of the four that you're really struggling in, which really is an invitation to, or it's a signpost to start here
Yeah,
in your
yeah.
growth journey. So,
Wonderful.
in
Before
fact, I
we,
would love if
yeah,
I could even give you the link for that, and your listeners could sign up and get
absolutely.
that free audit, and we can go from there.
I will include that. Core four, can you name the other three? Just name them. What are
Yes.
the other
So,
three?
core
Connection, what?
capacity of connection, definition, knowing who you are and who you are not. The core capacity of integration, being able to stay grounded in both the good and the hard, not letting one cancel out the other. No cancel culture here. And then
Nice.
finally, the core capacity for collaboration. Do you have a posture of mutuality so that regardless of your role, whether you're the top leader or the person at the bottom of the hierarchy, can
Yes.
you walk into a room with a sense of mutuality with all the others? Because that's where collaboration truly
It's
happens.
beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. And for the listeners, all the information that Julia mentioned, including the link to her self audit, will be at the as part of this information. You will see the links over there. What Julia mentioned, and I want to look at my note to make sure I get this right, that being calm was never the absence of pressure, is the capacity that turns pressure into trust and performance and being alive. Thank you for listening to us. Hope this was helpful to you. Julia is here. I'm here. If this was helpful, please pass it on. Our work is to bring more energy, more courage, and enjoyment into our world. Thank you.
It's been a joy.